Well, welcome to Grandpa Jim's Garden Tips this morning, and we are in Grandpa Jim's workshop this morning. My wood shop, and actually any kind of shop, whatever little maintenance things I have to do, we do it out here. Today I want to talk about how to take care of your garden tools and how to prepare them and then set them aside for winter. Right now, we still have a little bit of gardening going on. We have some beets, we have some spinach, and some other things. The peppers are still producing, and the lima beans are still producing. But we also know within a few weeks it's going to be, we'll have a killing frost, and that'll be the end, unless our hardy crops like kale and things like that we can still leave out. But anyway, what I want to do is show you how I take care of my tools and how you should take care of them. Garden tools, good ones especially, are made to last a lifetime if you take care of them. And that includes sharpening, hoes, your shovels, even your shovels, and any tools that have a sharp point that you want to sharpen. Now, when I'm sharpening my tools, I use a file. This is a flat file. And what it has is it's got a single, they call it single cut on one side, double cut on the other. And the single file isn't as aggressive as the double file. So we use a file though, because I use a file because you put it on your bench grinder and grind them off. My concern is when you do that, it gets very hot. And when it gets hot, it can turn the metal even blue. And when you do that, you've lost the temper or the strength of the metal. So if you do use a grinder, you have to grind it and stick it in some water, then take it back out, continue to grind, and cool it down with water. This is a lot easier as far as I'm concerned. So here we're going to do a hoe. And if you notice on the hoe, on your hose, they have a slight bevel that's right here on the blade, and on that blade, that's where it does the most cutting. So what we want to do is take that and go ahead and sharpen it. Now again, using the file, we're going to go and file it like this. One other thing, clean your tools before you do this. In fact, you should clean your tools all the time. If they have dirt or soil that is caked on it, that will draw moisture, will rust your tools. You're better off to put them away wet than you are to leave them dirty. So this one I just hosed it off, make sure it was clean as best as I can. Some people use a wire brush. But getting back here now to sharpening. Now when you're sharpening, you just kind of go along with the angle of the bevel that's already there. And just make nice strokes like this. You notice I put my hand on top. If I was doing it like this, you have too much of a danger of cutting yourself. So just put it on top, and a few passes like this, and you are already taken care of. Now I have a little tool here. It's got a little carbide tip on it. You don't have to do this, but it really does help. And I just run it across the same bevel just a few times, and that gives you a nice sharp blade. And as you can see here, the blade is sharp. You can see the bevel, and that's how we do a hoe. Well, now I've got my shovel here, and I'm going to show you how to just sharpen a little bit a shovel. Now, with any sharpening with a garden tool, you don't want it razor sharp. Reason for that, it'll dull very quickly. Just think about a razor blade. You use it a few times and it becomes dull. It's so thin. But what we want to do is just give a nice little bevel or a little bit of sharpening on just part of the blade. You don't have to go back down in here. You just need to go, say, over to this far. So what I'm going to do, using the same file that I used for the hoe, and we just go make a few nice passes like this, and then we'll do the same thing here, giving it a bevel. And there we have a nice, sharp, not overly sharp, but a nice edge on that. And what that'll do, that'll make it so much easier when you dig. You don't have to go back here, because really this part's not really doing much of the cutting. It's really what's up here. And so that's very simple how we do that. Again, I use a single side of a flat file. The double side, you can use it, but it's much more aggressive and really takes too much metal off. So I just use the single side. So that is how we do our shovel as far as sharpening. Now that we've got a nice edge on our hoe, and we also did our shovel, and I'll be doing this with all of my garden tools that are wood handled, whether they're long or short handled, we'll do the same thing. So to protect your blade, to keep it from getting rusting, and this tool here is probably 25 years old, and you can see it's still pretty good shape. So what I do on the hand, or on the head, or the blade, I spray a little bit WD-40 on the metal part of it, and I wipe that down, and we wipe it all off, and we are ready to go as far as the blade is concerned, or the tool head, whatever that might be. I do the same thing with my shovels, anything that has some cutting action. Then the handle. Now, most handles in this day and age are not always, but generally are white ash. That's been the best wood that you can have on a handle. There are some fiberglass ones out there. I find them be a little slippery and a little harder to use. But what you want to do, you want to protect this. And this is the best thing you can use, is boiled linseed oil. And you can see here, woodworkers use this. They use it to finish wood. And what you do is you just pour a little bit into the, Grandpa Jim got a little bit too much there, but anyway, we'll then take this and go like this. Just rub it up and down. See how that's going in there? That will penetrate into the wood, plus will dry with a really nice coating of protected oil. Again, boiled linseed oil. And this tool here is ready to be put away, and next year it'll be almost as good as new. So that's how we do that with any of our long-handled tools. So, well, I'm going to show you now how I sharpen my pruning tools, but first I do have one little warning about using boiled linseed oil. Linseed oil is perfectly safe and good to use, but if you take it and you take your rag and you ball it up, just let it set, it will get hot and will combust. So you don't want to burn your house down or your workshop down. So what you do with it, I usually take it outside and set it out flat. And with all the volatile parts of it will just evaporate. Eventually, in a few hours, you can take this and you can throw it away, or that's what I do with mine. I throw them away, because it's not safe to just leave a wet rag of linseed oil out. So anyway, that's just a little warning there for you. So now I'm going to show you how I do my tools that I use to prune. And you can see here, this one here, they get a lot of sap on them. And what I do is I spray a little WD-40, take some steel wool, and I've already done it on one here. I'll show you how it looks when they're finished, and they look like this. Now, I use a couple special tools that I have found to be extremely helpful when sharpening your pruners. Nothing worse than a dull pruner. You have to use so much more force, and it's just very difficult to do that. Not to mention, as you're sitting there trying to cut it, you might damage the part of the plant that you want to keep. So what I do, I have a tool here. It's a Garden Sharp sharpening tool. And this is fantastic because what you do with it, you can put your hand in here, in here, and then all that you have to do, you see how it protects your hand, is make a few passes here. Not very many, just a couple. And then that sharpens your tool. Then I take my little Corona sharpening tool, because there's a little bit of a burr there, and I just run it along and do the same thing here. And you can do this on all of your pruners. And as you can see now, this is very, very sharp, and it's ready to go. When you put the WD-40, a little bit comes down and gets down here in the hinge, which is what you want. Makes it very easy and cuts fantastic. So I hope this will help you keep your tools for many years to come. Sometimes we live in a throwaway society, but when it comes to your tools, especially your garden tools, take good care of them, and they'll take good care of you. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this session of Grandpa Jim's gardening tips, and take care of those tools. Have a great day.